All right, good evening to everybody on Earth, all beings, seen and unseen. I hope everybody's doing good tonight, because I'm doing fantastic. All right, just so we can end up bringing everything in here, we'll go ahead and transition in, get it started, get the show on the road. This is Sovereign Starseed. My name is Seth. My friends call me Silky. And every night we're accelerating Earth's awakening process by streaming some sovereign, unbiased news. And I don't know, I say that it's like more biased towards keeping you empowered, actually. And so, yeah, super excited to be able to bring this to you guys every night. Usually how we'll start things off is we'll end up getting to the articles, the important articles of the day. And then we'll end up studying like a little bit of a maxim at the end, a self-evident truth, so that way we could feel empowered before we end up departing for the night. So thank you to everybody that hops aboard the spaceship. Thank you to everybody that is loyal and regular to the channel. I really appreciate that. Last night I was under the weather, guys, and so I was having to take some time just to recuperate. So just really appreciate everybody for understanding that. And then, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get back into action. So when we get into these articles, there's just a couple of things that we always like to remember. One of them is that we like to stay neutral with the information that we're hearing, making sure that, you know, we don't try to like swing to one way or another with if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad. Information just is what it is, and it's up to us individually to assign that meaning of good or bad or anything to it, really. And then second, the next point that I just like to remember is that everything is propaganda. So all of this information that we're going across always is trying to speak an agenda. It's always trying to lead you somewhere. And even though we read these articles, you know, it's just something good to always remember to stay sovereign, that, you know, all of this is propaganda and it's always trying to lead you somewhere. So yeah, with that, with those two statements in mind, it helps us remain pretty balanced and neutral whenever we're looking at these articles. And without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in the news. All right, so tonight for the news, first, Cointelegraph.com puts out this article that says Mexico's cryptocurrency regulation awaits presidential signature. So Mexico is just one signature away from regulating cryptocurrency after a law setting out its position passed the lower house Thursday. Reuters reports on March 2nd. So combining new resolutions on fintech more generally, including crowdfunding and various aspects of cryptocurrency businesses, the bill now only requires a signature from the president Enrique Peña Nieto before it becomes law. The exact details applicable to crypto companies will be specified at a later date as so-called secondary laws. The current incarnation of the bill, containing more generalized information, agreed when it was approved by the Mexican Senate December 5th. As Reuters explains, the new landscape, quote, will give fintech companies greater regulatory certainty around issues such as crowdfunding, payment methods, and rules surrounding cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. Mexico thus joins a select group of major jurisdictions applying hard and fast rules to cryptocurrency. Quote, for us it was a victory for the sector because this was being done internationally. So Ray of Sunshine, thank you so much for joining the spaceship. She says, I hope you're feeling better, and I am. Thank you so much. Yeah, so yeah, it just says here, you know, that like Mexico, to all of my friends that were in Mexico, and even when I was in Mexico, it was feeling great because we were there. We were able to spend our cryptocurrency. We didn't have to worry about regulation. Well, it looks as though that as of March 2nd, something has been proposed, and we're just waiting for the president to either say yay or nay on this. And whatever the president says there will be what all the slaves have to follow. And so depending on your perspective of this, you might end up following to this regulation, or you might end up finding other ways around it. So yeah, because of that, I just wanted to show you guys this, that Mexico is now on board and they're trying to regulate it. They're trying to put a whole bunch of rules around it, and they want to put hard and fast rules under All right, so next, CoinDesk.com puts out this article yesterday that says the U.S. government wants to keep $5.5 million in seized Bitcoin. The U.S. government is eyeing the potential confiscation of 500 Bitcoins seized from 4 individuals charged with creating fake IDs. According to an announcement from the Department of Justice in Ohio, the 4 individuals, 3 from Toledo and 1 from Perrysburg, allegedly produced and transferred fake documents such as driver's licenses and personal identification cards, purportedly from the states of Ohio, Michigan, and Utah. The indictment indicates the 4 netted proceeds of 500 Bitcoin over a period of nearly 5 years from June 2013 to February 2018. The cryptocurrency total is currently worth nearly $5.5 million according to CoinDesk Bitcoin Price Index. If the accused are ordered to forfeit the Bitcoin as requested by the prosecutors in the case, the U.S. government will be able to add them to its existing pool of Bitcoin seized from criminals in recent years. The funds are likely to eventually be auctioned to the public, adding potential liquidity to the market. As reported previously, the U.S. Marshals Service held an auction of more than 3,800 Bitcoins in January, the first since the sale of 2,700 Bitcoin in 2016. So, the U.S. Marshals Service also auctioned off $50,000 Bitcoins forfeited by Ross Ulbricht, an operator of the now defunct dark web website Silk Road, upon his conviction. So with this, guys, I just want you guys to see as well that, it seems as though that without having rules on it might make it a lot easier for the U.S. government to try to seize some of this stuff from criminals. And this isn't the first time, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last time. But right here, just the only things that I wanted to end up saying here is that if the accused, so this means that they have to be able to end up saying that, these guys were actually the ones that were able to take these 500 Bitcoin. If the accused are ordered, meaning we're telling you, you don't have an option, we're telling you that you have to give up the Bitcoin, this is what's being requested right now by the people suing you, is pretty much what the case is speaking to these 4 individuals. And then one other thing that I wanted to show you guys was that these guys have actually been tracked since 2013 up until this month, or up until February 2018. So I just want you guys to see that, with this type of stuff, Bitcoin is not completely anonymous by any means. And in fact, there could be easier ways to being tracked through the blockchain than there are through fiat means, which is another reason why it's absolute crap when people try to tell you that Bitcoin could lead to money laundering and terrorism. Absolutely not. It can lead to less, and there's more money laundering and terrorism, and there always will be in the fiat realm. So just remember that, friends, to stay sovereign. And then next in the news, Cointelegraph.com puts out this article that says Walmart to implement blockchain-based delivery system. The application of U.S. retail giant Walmart to patent its smart package system has been released by the U.S. PTO, the Patent Trademark Office, March 1st. Walmart's smart package patent employs a blockchain-based tool to track package contents, environmental conditions, location, and other details. The service described in the application is intended to be used in new technologies like autonomous vehicles and unmanned drones. According to the application, blockchain will also record the key addresses along the chain, such as seller private key address, a courier private key address, and a buyer private key address. In the patent application, Walmart noted the need to design a tool providing, quote, a greater security in the shipping packaging that the items are shipped in. So basically, what we'll end up seeing is that in the United States, publication of a non-provisional patent application happens 18 months before its earliest effective priority date. So this is still years off, but Walmart is definitely trying to patent some type of blockchain-based system, probably to be able to not only source its products to the stores, but then also to be able to deliver those products out to its customers, either through autonomous vehicles or unmanned drones. And so, yeah, we can expect to see something like that coming from Walmart in the future. Next, New York Times put out this article on February 15th, but I'm just now getting to it. And actually, let me just go ahead and confirm a couple of things with this. Let me make sure that that's correct, because sometimes my data gets all messed up. I'm just trying to give this to us. Let me just confirm. Actually, yes, on February 14th, this is when this came out. Glad that we're checking. But basically, New York Times put out this article. Don't know why I didn't see it until now, but it says shooting at NSA headquarters leaves several injured. So Fort Meade, Maryland, it says 3 men were in custody Wednesday after they tried to drive onto the NSA's campus at Fort Meade in Maryland, but officials said the episode did not appear to be linked to terrorism and that there was no ongoing safety or security threat. The men tried to drive through the K9 road gate shortly before 7 a.m. without authorization, said Gordon Johnson, the special agent in charge of the FBI Baltimore division. Weapons were fired in the course of the episode, but preliminary reports did not suggest that anyone had been shot and the car crashed. The driver was injured in the crash and was taken to a hospital, while 2 other men were being interviewed at the FBI. A police officer and onlooker were also injured. The injuries weren't serious. So Mr. Johnson and Tommy Groves, an NSA spokesman, said that terrorism was ruled out as a motive during preliminary investigations. They declined to rule out any other potential cause, including whether the driver entered the campus by mistake. The military cyber command is also located at the base. Mr. Johnson did not say who fired the shots, whether the occupants of the car or the security personnel. As the FBI continued its investigation, he said the NSA police responded accordingly to the car's unauthorized attempt to enter the campus. The White House said that the president had been briefed on the shooting, and the police force at Fort Meade remained on high alert for people trying to forcibly enter. So it says in 2015, 2 men were shot, one fatally when they drove a car onto the campus. So as we could just see here, I haven't looked very hard, fam, but like I also haven't seen too many updates on anything like this since then. But yeah, as it is right here, you could just end up seeing that, you know, somebody tried to drive something up on the NSA headquarters. Some people were injured. Nobody will say who fired shots, and also nobody will say whether it was deliberate or not. So really, there's not a lot of information here except for the fact that it happened. Remember, we're staying neutral. So next, newsbird.us puts out this article today that says data firm accidentally leaks personal details of nearly 200 million American voters. So political data gathered on more than 198 million U.S. citizens was exposed this month after a marketing firm contacted by the Republican National Committee stored internal documents on a publicly accessible Amazon server. The data link contains a wealth of personal information on roughly 61% of the U.S. population, along with home addresses. Oh, well, you see, now the other night we just said that was the only thing that Expedia basically didn't leak. So now 61% of the population's home addresses, birth dates, and phone numbers are out there. The records include advanced sentiment analysis used by the political groups to predict where individual voters fall on hot-button issues such as gun ownership, stem cell research, and the right to abortion, as well as suspected religious affiliation and ethnicity. The data was amassed from a variety of sources, from the banned subreddit Fat People Hate to American Crossroads, the Super PAC, co-founded by former White House strategist Karl Rove. So basically, as this is, it says, although files possessed by Deeproot will be typical in any campaign, experts say its exposure in a single open database raises significant privacy concerns. So, you know, I just wanted to show you guys this because the other night, Expedia then let us know, oh, it looks like when we were further digging, we found 2.7 more million people being affected by our stupid computer that was left unlocked by the username admin, password admin. And we've given up people's height, weight, eye color, hair color, donor status, all kinds of things, but they didn't give out the home address, was what they were trying to say. They're like, hey, we can assure you guys that the home addresses weren't leaked. Which, you know what does that really matter anymore? Like, how can you even believe it? Like, how are you gonna know that, like, in the next 2 to 3 months Expedia is gonna be like, oh, you know what happened? Upon further digging, we have found that the addresses were leaked. But you know, what's anybody going to be able to do about it? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, as this is here, I just want you guys to see that now, not only along with your weight, your eye color, and, oh, a photo of you that's being leaked because of all the information that were on driver's licenses that Expedia leaked. So now your picture, your home address, your birth date, your phone number, and your eye color, your sex, your donor status, your signature, all of this stuff has now been leaked just through these 2 databases getting hacked. So just want you guys to see that. So everybody that's been applying for credit or has credit cards, you know, 1 out of every 2 people is being affected and had their information leaked. And then now with this one here, the political leak, basically you can see that, you know, now even more than half of the people here, so pretty much everybody in the room has a high chance of having their home address leaked with their birth date, phone number, and all kinds of sentiment analysis on if you did provide any type of data to census, or if you did provide any data to any type of political voting form. So just want you guys to see that, and also so that we can see that this is also why it's very important for us to remain neutral, but also to protect our data, protect the things that are close to us, because now, you know, people could just send in things and they can end up signing up for some cryptocurrency exchange and sending in your picture with your with all of your information on it, even a signature, to try to sign up for something. And so yeah, that's just where that is, guys. Next, Inquisitor.com puts out this article today that says Amazon earned billions in 2017 but paid no U.S. income taxes. So it says, for states contemplating tax incentives for Amazon, the salient question is, what do you give a tax avoider who already has everything? And so, according to CNN Money, Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos is officially the richest person of all time. Why wouldn't he be when his company made more than $5 billion in 2017 and didn't pay a dime of income tax, of federal income tax? This is evident from Amazon's Form 10-K, which is an annual report required by the U.S. SEC, meant to give a summary of the company's fiscal performance. In a blog post published on the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy's official website, Matthew Gardner, former fellow at the Institute, detailed what he calls Amazon's decades-long strategy of exploiting state sales tax loopholes. So Amazon paid a federal income tax rate of just 11.4%. During the same time period, the company reported profits of $8.2 billion. So basically it says in September 2017, Amazon announced that it would be building a second headquarters. Amazon initially received 238 bids from cities all over the U.S., but narrowed the list down later on. And it said this caused a bidding war, with participating cities competing against each other, offering tax breaks, free land, and various incentive packages. Only a few politicians have spoken up against this. Most notably, Rohit Yokana, U.S. Representative for California's 17th Congressional District as a member of the Democratic Party, who told The Intercept, quote, these cities should not compete against each other in a race to the bottom. It's absurd for the taxpayers to offer subsidies to one of the richest companies in the world. Matthew Gardner's of a similar opinion. It says, for states contemplating tax incentives for Amazon, yeah, it was just basically what we were saying at the beginning. What do you give somebody that already has everything? And how come everybody's trying to bid and they're trying to go all the way to the bottom to try to be the state that gets Amazon's business? So because of that, guys, I just want you guys to see what's happening there. And it's just because a giant is so big and other people are so poor or so desperate for that business that they're going to end up offering advantages that this company absolutely doesn't need. So just want you guys to see that as well. And, you know, as well to think about how, like, Amazon hasn't paid anything in taxes, yet they're going really hard after citizens for not paying taxes on these little crypto coins that used to not have any type of value to anyone. So, yeah, the Merkle.com puts out an article today that says Japanese crypto exchanges officially announced self-regulating body. So cryptocurrency in Japan has proven to be a rather interesting topic. While the government officially legalized this form of money, the country's exchanges are trying to introduce more regulation in their own way. A group of 16 registered companies will create a self-regulatory body to generate more trust in this industry moving forward. And so, you know, that's basically all that I was going to want to say about this, is that Japan is definitely trying to end up doing something so that it can end up regulating itself. But, you know, in the same sense, this might be one of the few ways that people could try to transition away from centralized governments into other areas of sovereignty. But it says, you know, it says, for the time being, there's no official word on which name this self-regulating body will receive or when it's going to go into effect. And as of right now, the Japanese government has not attempted to prevent any company from operating as a cryptocurrency exchange. And that's been somewhat of a surprise to a lot of people, especially given CoinCheck's recent issues. Even so, the company has repaid all of the affected customers out of its own pocket. This is in stark contrast to the Bitfinex exchange, who gave all users a balanced haircut when the platform was breached a few years ago. This proactive approach by CoinCheck may have helped it to remain operational after this hack. And so, yeah, I just want you guys to see this here is that, you know, this is one of the exchanges that is trying to end up making good by being honorable about it. And when it was hacked, you know, it was able to pay out of its pocket to its users. But Bitfinex, which is that one company that we know is creating them tether coins out of nowhere, they just kind of like decided to take a little bit of money off of everybody's accounts when they got hacked. So just different ways of operating exchanges. Next, this is just something that kind of I was coming across today in news, and I just kind of wanted to report about it just so that way we can see how bad some of this stuff can be. And this is from the Free Software Foundation. This came from gnu.org, gnu.org. And this is the Free Software Foundation, where a lot of people end up contributing here. It's an open source foundation, so that way you can end up contributing a lot to it. But yeah, basically this is an article that came out in 2013, and you know, I'll just go into it, and then I want you guys to think about how much more could have been added since then. Actually, let me just confirm. Let me confirm on this. Boom, boom, boom. So it came out in 2013, but it was just recently updated in January 2018. But this article says Microsoft's software is malware. And so malware means software designed to function in ways that mistreat or harm the user. This does not include accidental errors. This page explains how Microsoft software is malware. Malware and non-free software are two different issues. The difference between free software and non-free software is in whether the users have control over the program or the program has control over the user. It's not directly a question of what the program does when it runs. However, in practice, non-free software is often malware because the developer's awareness that the users would be powerless to fix any malicious functionalities tempts the developer to impose some. So it basically means, you know, how I've reported in the past about how like Microsoft is, you know, trying to release these tools that supposedly help its users diagnose the problems that are entering the Microsoft system. But when we looked into those error codes that Microsoft was putting out, it was such gibberish, it was such crazy code that you really had to study Microsoft and you had to understand all of the code in order to understand what these error messages were for. And that's actually malware when you think about it, because it shouldn't be something that's hard to comprehend. It shouldn't be something you have to go off and spend hours, days, months, and years studying. It should be something that you can like pop up real fast, go and search for it on the internet, and figure out how to fix it within 5 minutes. So basically, I just want to read through a couple of the backdoors that have been happening here so that we can see what's been going on with Microsoft and the malware that, you know, they've been creating. So it says Microsoft Windows has a universal backdoor through which any change whatsoever can be imposed on the users. So that means that at any time a change could be imposed upon you if you're using a Microsoft computer and you have no way of saying otherwise. In Windows 10, the universal backdoor is no longer hidden. All upgrades will be forcibly and immediately imposed. And that's true. I was actually posting up a picture on the internet like a little while ago about how like as soon as my hard drive gets 8 gigabytes free for the little area of Microsoft that I've created for it, it's going to take up all 8 gigabytes of that free space with an important security update. And so as you can see there, that's something that is being forced upon me and being forced upon everybody else against their will if they still use that operating system. It also says Windows 8 has a backdoor for remotely deleting apps. So you might decide to let a security service that you trust remotely deactivate programs it considers malicious, but there's no excuse for deleting the programs, and you should have the right to decide who, if anyone, to trust in this way. So, you know, Windows 8, it's had, and like all of these are links too. And if you guys are interested in it, like, look, we can go into it. All of them have links. This is from Computer World. Microsoft says we can remotely delete Windows 8 apps. Wow. Microsoft will be able to throw a kill switch to disable or even remove an app from Windows 8 devices. Both Apple and Google can flip such a switch for apps distributed by the iOS App Store and the Android market respectively. However, I feel that like a lot of times those switches aren't really even used because the code is being so scrutinized before it gets into the stores that it's hard for, you know, malicious code to at least enter the iOS store. This is what I've seen, but it doesn't mean that it's completely perfect, as we've reported on in the past. But another thing, German government veers away from Windows 8 computers with TPM 2.0 due to potential backdoor capabilities with the TPM 2.0 chip. Users reported that Microsoft was forcing them to replace Windows 7 and 8 with all spying Windows 10. Microsoft was in fact attacking computers that run Windows 7 and 8, switching on a flag that said whether to upgrade to Windows 10 when users had turned it off. Later on, Microsoft published instructions on how to permanently reject the downgrade to Windows 10. So this seems to involve the use of a backdoor in Windows 7 and 8. Microsoft insecurity. These bugs were not intentional, so unlike the rest of the file, they do not count as malware. So we mentioned them to refute the supposition that prestigious property software doesn't grave bugs. So Microsoft sabotage. The wrongdoings in this, and look, Microsoft insecurity, that part is like so small, there's not even a link. So the next part is Microsoft sabotage. The wrongs in this section are not precisely malware, since they do not involve making the program that runs in a way that hurts the user, but they are a lot like malware, since they are technical Microsoft actions that do harm to the users of specific Microsoft software. It says here Microsoft has dropped support for Windows 7 and 8 on recent processors in a big hurry. It makes no difference what legitimate reasons Microsoft might have for not doing work to support them. If it doesn't want to do this work, it should let users do the work. Another example is Microsoft has made Windows 7 and 8 cease to function on certain new computers, effectively forcing their owners to switch to Windows 10. Once Microsoft has tricked a user into accepting installation of Windows 10, they find that they are denied the option to cancel or even postpone the imposed date of installation. So this demonstrates what we said for years. Using proprietary software means letting someone have power over you, and you're going to get screwed sooner or later. You basically lose your technology sovereignty. So another one is Microsoft has de-supported all future Intel CPUs for Windows 7 and 8. Those machines will be stuck with the nastier Windows 10, AMD, and Qualcomm CPUs as well. Of course, Windows 7 and 8 are unethical too because they were proprietary software, but this example of Microsoft's wielding its power demonstrates the power it holds. So Microsoft has forcibly pushing Windows to update in Windows 10, ignoring the flag on Windows 7 and 8 that you could not upgrade. Windows 10 upgrades delete applications without asking permission. Microsoft is repeatedly nagging many users to install Windows 10. Microsoft was for months tricking users into upgrading to Windows 10 if they failed to notice and say no. Microsoft cut off security fixes for Windows XP, except to some big users that pay exorbitantly. So as you can see here, they still support Windows XP if you got the money to do it. And it says Microsoft is going to cut off support for some Internet Explorer versions in the same way. Microsoft does a lot of interference, and it has intrusive ads in its products and its partners' products. In order to increase the Windows 10 install base, it blatantly disregards user choice and privacy. Microsoft has started, Windows surveillance. Windows DRM files can be used to identify people browsing through Tor. The vulnerability exists only if you use Windows. By default, Windows 10 sends debugging information to Microsoft, including core dumps. Microsoft now distributes them to another company. Don't know who that is. It appears Windows 10 sends data to Microsoft about what applications are running. A downgrade to Windows 10 deleted surveillance detection applications. Then another downgrade inserted a general spying program. Users noticed this and complained, so Microsoft renamed it to give users the impression that it was gone. Windows 10 comes with 13 screens of snooping options, all enabled by default, and turning them off would be daunting to most users. Windows 10 ships with default settings that show no regard for the privacy of its users, giving Microsoft the right to snoop on the user's files, text input, voice input, location info, contacts, calendar, records, and web browsing history, as well as automatically connecting the machines to open hotspots and showing targeted ads. We can suppose Microsoft look at users' files for the US government on demand, though the privacy policy does not explicitly say so. Will it look at users' files for the Chinese government on demand? Windows 10 sends identifiable information to Microsoft even if a user turns off Bing and Cortana and activates the privacy protection settings. It just goes on and on and on, guys. So like, I'm just trying to show you guys here that like, basically, you know, this is what happens when you don't have your sovereignty over something, and when there's a company out there that's way too comfortable with what it's been doing. Is Google and Apple and other companies completely innocent from this type of stuff? No, absolutely not. But it's just something for you to see, and it's something for you to remain aware of, so that way you can make a sovereign decision moving forward on, you know, what operating system do I want to use? What can I see about what's going on? And, you know, after I watched that one episode of Sovereign STARCAST, like, I now see that at least Microsoft is like intentionally screwing people over and forcing them to make their computers obsolete, upgrade, and it's begging other people that it can't get those computers to. It's begging them to upgrade to this spyware version filled operating system that's sending data back to Microsoft, and Microsoft sends that data over to another company, but we don't know who that is. And so, yeah, just want you guys to see that, so that way everything that's being entered into Microsoft systems, from your voice input to your keystrokes to everything, all of that is being sent over. Next, news.bitcoin.com puts out this article that says rebel Bitcoiners in Ecuador open the first crypto ATMs. It says the government of Ecuador launched an all-out war on cryptocurrency about 4 years ago, even going so far as to push down its own state-backed version, with local lapdog media attempting to escape the country's populace. Something of a backlash has taken place. A rather brave group of Bitcoiners have opened Bitcoin ATMs in the nation's capital, and the government is not happy. Bitcoiners in Ecuador defy ban. Paz Gomez of Antigua report notes, quote, the Ecuadorian government has been trying and failing to ban cryptocurrencies since 2014. As a consolation, the government issued something akin but state-backed dinero electrónico. As with most such ventures, it quickly fizzled and was later tossed to the private sector, where it has languished unused. At the beginning of this year, the government inadvertently showed its hand by addressing what everyone already knew. Bitcoin is growing in popularity throughout the country. Banco Central del Ecuador, the country's central bank, issued a terse. The Central Bank of Ecuador informs the public that Bitcoin is not a means of payment authorized for use in the country. The statement began, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency that has no backup because it supports its value in speculation. The financial transactions carried out through Bitcoin are not controlled, supervised, or regulated by any entity in Ecuador, which is why its use represents a financial risk to those who use it. So the salient part of the missive backed away from the government's earlier prohibition. It is important to point out that the purchase and sale of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin through the internet is not prohibited. However, it is emphasized that Bitcoin is not a legal currency and is not authorized as a means of payment of goods and services, the bank reiterated. So Ecuador's central bank bans crypto ATMs in response. And yes, I just want you guys to see that, like, with this, these rebel Bitcoiners that have set this up, I don't even know what their name is, but all I can say is that, hey, even if I don't know what their name is, thumbs up from Sovereign Starseed. I'm super grateful to be seeing that there are some people in Ecuador that are still wanting to go ahead and free their people, regardless of what the government's trying to control and trying to do to them. So I think that's beautiful, and I think a lot of other people would be really smart to start taking steps like this, so that way we can just go ahead and provide commerce to each other instead of having to rely on other people to give us the rules on how we can spend our money between each other. So beautiful, beautiful. Next, as well as to end this on a positive note, guys, TheVerge.com puts out this article yesterday that says Australia considers banning ISPs from listing internet speeds they cannot provide. So the Australian government is considering a bill that would make it illegal for ISPs to falsely advertise high internet speeds. Under the proposed legislation, lying about internet speeds would become a finable offense that could cost ISPs that violate the law up to $1 million. And the proposed law would order ISPs to become more transparent about internet speeds and list typical speeds experienced by the average user, periods when internet traffic tended to be higher, and any other factors that could affect service. So I just think this is kind of cool because it's a way of trying to still provide a little bit of transparency even while the net neutrality rules are up in jeopardy. And so because of that, I just want us to see that there are some people out there that don't even believe in what's going on with net neutrality, but they're just kind of like moving forward with some other laws. And that's not speaking for the opinions of any people that are in this room trying to make those decisions there, but it's just my perspective of it, family. It's like, even though we have all these net neutrality rules that are going down and like all these other places that are trying to stop people from gaining information equally across the internet, there are still some people out there that are trying to make it really transparent as to what the internet can provide, and as well as making sure that the net does stay neutral. So I'm very grateful to be able to report to that, and in Australia, get a thumbs up from Sovereign Starseed as well. It's trying to make your ISPs a lot more transparent there because they have way too much power. And so, as well as these Bitcoiners in Ecuador opening up your own ATMs, I think that's beautiful, and more power to you. So with that, guys, that's the end of the news. But we'll go ahead and get into the maxim for tonight. And tonight's maxim is, in Latin, it starts actus de nemini facit injuriam. So once more, that's actus de nemini facit injuriam. And what this means in English is it says the act of God does no injury. That is, no one is responsible for inevitable accidents. Once more in English, that's the act of God does no injury. That is, no one is responsible for inevitable accidents. So I just want you guys to take some moments, think about that. What does that mean to you? What would that mean when somebody says, no one is responsible for inevitable accidents? Can you see how that could apply in today's court systems? How that could apply in today's relationships with one another? How that could apply in today's relationships with our partners? So I just want you guys to see that. If you have any examples, throw them out. That's the reason why I put these maxims at the end of the stream, so that way if you guys want to, you can chat about those. To me, it seems very good. No one is responsible for inevitable accidents, to me, would be like, as long as we can see that the situation's outside of our control, it's easy for us to see that we aren't responsible for it. We can just try our best to try to clean it up. And so, yeah, from that, I just think that it's very beautiful that we're able to end up discussing one of these every night on the stream. And other than that, guys, I thank you so much for watching every night, staying loyal, staying tuned in. Short episode tonight, right? But yeah, doesn't mean that it's not packed full of good info. So if you like what you hear here, if you like what you see, first of all, know that after these streams, all of these streams get converted to audio format, and they're posted up on D-Sound for later viewing, and you can listen to that later on. I'm also thinking about possibly going to D-Live tomorrow night, just to try to, stream on the blockchain, see what we can get from that. Other than that, guys, I'm super grateful that you guys are already following me on Steemit. For everybody that is, if you're following me on Steemit, then you'll be able to see my D-Live broadcast go out tomorrow because it's all on the Steem blockchain. And if you like what you see here, like, comment, subscribe, and then also share this message. Get it out to the other family across the earth. It'd be great for more people to hear this so we could talk about it and we can stay aware of what's really going on. Other than that, guys, though, I really appreciate everybody that tunes in every night. We'll be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Mountain, 5 o'clock Universal for some more Sovereign news. This is Sovereign Starseed saying good night to all beings, seen and unseen. I love you.